All right, let's get down to it. So, hot or cold? Now, I feel this can range. This can range from like almost anything. Yeah, like food, weather, potatoes. I don't know. There's just so many things. Water, a seat. It can be a cold seat, a hot seat. You're in the hot seat. You know what I mean? So it can range from basically anything. So let's talk about hot first. Okay. Hot food, like a nice soup on a cold weather, or an ice cream cone on a hot day. I think they actually complement each other. I don't think there's competition at all. I think they go perfectly well together, depending on the circumstances, right? But if I had to pick one, and I'll say this for the weather, I guess, because I live in a hot area, so I'm thinking, okay, let me just go to Canada or somewhere cold. That's always cold. Maybe somewhere in Europe too. Or I can go somewhere hotter where I am, where I think that's impossible. Because I feel like, for example, where I live, it's hot all year round. Even in winter, we only get like 2 days or 1 week, if we're lucky, of coldness. And that's in like the 60 degrees. And I'm already cold. You know what I mean? Like in Chicago right now, it's 36 degrees cold. And it's 36 degrees. And that's super cold for me. And so imagine it's 60 degrees here. I'm cold. I'm already cold. So it's a hard one. Because I've always imagined wanting to live in London. I imagine it's always cold over there, but I am not certain on that. I know in Canada it's almost always cold, I feel. So I would want to live in cold weather, but it's just getting used to it. It's just getting used to it, I feel. Because if you live in hot weather for a long time and you go to cold weather, you're just gonna freeze your butt off because you're used to hot weather. Same thing with people who are in the cold. If they go to hot weather, they're gonna be sweating all day because they're just like, it's too hot, even if it's just like a slight tad. Well, anyway, point is, what is the preference? Or at least the preference that I would pick here. It's a good question. If I had to just, if I just had to pick, or if I had to go my way, I would pick somewhere in moderation. Sometimes I want hot, sometimes I want cold. Sometimes I want a hot burger, sometimes I want a cold pizza. Don't knock it till you try it. Pizza cold sometimes it's pretty good. Anyway, in the end, I feel like I would stomach more cold. But maybe not, because I've been there was a time where we had no electricity, the weather was cold, and I could not bear it. And it was for like 3 days straight. I didn't shower, and I smelled. But it was because it was too cold to shower. So I was like, okay, maybe I don't want to live in the cold. But again, it just goes back to I'm used to being in hot weather. You know? So I guess here it's a tie, I feel. It's just what you're used to, but you go somewhere, you can get used to it too. So I think I'll just combine them. It's like the fusion technique, cold and hot. Let's live in moderation. I think that would be pretty cool. Sometimes cold, sometimes hot. Keep the variety up. So there you go. That's what it is. Peace.